Hi, I'm TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I ask that you like, share, and comment on this video. Thanks for watching. All I gotta say is, who dat?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, and yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. On yesterday's episode, I noticed when I was actually going back and watching it around the 8-minute mark, I was referring to, I think, Isaiah Foskey, the defensive end that the Saints drafted out of Notre Dame. And I mistakenly said the Saints should try to win the battle of nutrition. As we know, it's the battle of attrition. And I made a joke. I said probably because I didn't eat any lunch that day. So I was dealing and battling with the battle of nutrition. But we all know the Saints need to battle with the battle of attrition. But I just thought that was funny. But thank you all for tuning in, no matter where you are, wherever you may be in the world. Really do appreciate your time. This is a very interactive Saints podcast. If you're new to the channel, we're an exciting podcast. I'm excited to do this show because for the last few days, I haven't felt like myself, and I feel like I'm starting to get back to being me. Right, been dealing with some things health-wise, but shouts out to my wife, giving me that good advice, looking out for me, and also shouts out to my doctor out there taking care of me as well. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Saints guard Cesar Ruiz. Some of you, if you've been following the State of the Saints, you know what I'm talking about. Back in 2020, when the Saints selected Cesar Ruiz at the number 24th pick, I created probably the most epic rant here on the State of the Saints podcast. I was trying to look it up to try to find it so I can play it. Hopefully next episode, I'll be able to show you all the video for those that probably joined the show or learned about the show a couple of years later. But Cesar Ruiz, he was the 24th pick in the draft back in 2020 during the pandemic, of course. He was a guy coming out of the University of Michigan. He played center there. The majority of the time where he played on the O-line was at center. The Saints drafted him. They moved him over to guard. A lot of people thought that it would probably just be a one-year thing because Eric McCoy came in a year before him. And, he was well-established. He kind of understood what was going on, so the Saints didn't move him. But, of course, as Saints fans, we thought that Cesar Ruiz would probably move to his original spot, which was center. But that never happened. And Cesar Ruiz stayed getting beat like a Persian rug outside, hanging on a fence constantly, over and over and over again. I mean, it became a joke. It was a parody. People were frustrated, saying that he was a first-round pick. Why did the Saints draft him when he was not living up to his potential? Then finally, last year, Cesar Ruiz, the light came on for him. He did a really good job. He improved tremendously. But the question was, how impressed should we be? He wasn't very good to begin with. So the fact that he was able to do some things that were, uncharacteristic of what we saw originally from him, we just felt like that was a step up. But when you think about it, was it really a step up? Well, I guess if you're trying to compare, his performance, it is. But the Saints did not pick up Cesar Ruiz's fifth-year option, long story short. And with this, I think it's pretty much safe to say that the Saints don't believe in Cesar Ruiz. Don't give me that stuff about, oh, man, the Saints are looking out for contracts and all that kind of stuff there. Look, the reality is if the Saints felt like Cesar Ruiz was the future on the offensive line, they would have picked up his fifth-year option. They wouldn't have allowed him to have the opportunity to go out here and test the free agent market. If I am a betting man, who that nation, I would be shocked if Cesar Ruiz stays on the Saints team the entire season. I think that they may shop him around. I think they might even try to trade him. I mean, you go out here and get Nick Seldevery out of Old Dominion, a guy who plays tackle, but he can play guard as well. So it would not surprise me or shock me at all if the Saints tried to shop around old Cesar and try to see if they can actually get some draft capital or a player back or something like that to help the team win. Look, I know some people question the decision, question the move, but I'm not going by 1 year of production. See, we get sucked into these 1 year of production guys out there. These guys go out there and they play lights out, balls to the wall when they go and play, right? They do that for 1 year because they know that they playing with empty pockets and a contract is on the line. But in the words of Future, where your ass was at during the beginning of your career, where your ass was at when we needed you to block, where your ass was at when we needed you to run block. Somebody tell me where he was. I can tell you where he was. He was on the ground slipping and sliding like the ice capades out there. I didn't know if I was watching Cesar Ruiz or Nancy Kerrigan. I didn't know if I was watching Cesar Ruiz or Brian Bertano. The dude stayed on the ground more than the dirt did, okay? But finally, the light came on for him, and he played really good last season. I think that he's probably going to end up getting some money somewhere because he's young. I mean, he's only like 23 years old. But for people that's going at the New Orleans Saints organization saying that they should have picked up his fifth-year option, my only question is, what the heck have y'all been watching, right? I know the dude, once again, improved last season, but in reality, he's never really been that good. And if you want to be honest, it was kind of a waste of a draft pick. The Saints really honestly didn't need him. They decided to move on from Larry Warford, who you can have a problem with Larry all you want to, but he was better than what Cesar Ruiz was the majority of the time. But that's why I feel like the Saints went out here and got Nick Seldevery. I think that you're going to end up sliding him into one of these guard positions. And then let's just be real about this, man. What would the Saints be willing to do if they were to pick up this dude fifth-year option? They would have given this dude a guaranteed $14.175 million contract. Okay, look, do we believe that Cesar Ruiz is worth $14 million? Bishop.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
Disrespect my brother, but you're not worth $14 million in guaranteed money. Not the way that you played, okay? Sometimes I wonder if you're worth $14 in guaranteed money at some of the times that he actually played. But there's where we are as a fan base. That's where the Saints are as a team. But, I mean, Cesar Ruiz, I mean, he has an opportunity. He has the opportunity to go out there as long as he's in the Saints uniform. If they don't decide to trade him, to go out there, play really well, and make it hard for the New Orleans Saints to let him go or make himself very, very attractive to another team, right? But I have not been impressed with Cesar Ruiz throughout his career. I just haven't. You know, people have been giving him the benefit of the doubt from last season, but I'm not buying it. I'm not, man. This is a problem that we have. Guys play with empty pockets, and we fall for a hook, line, and sinker. And then when these guys get the contract, we forget they exist. They steal money. Andres Pete has been stealing money. It's rather he plays like slaw or he's hurt, right? What the Saints need, they need more athletes on the offensive line. They need more guys to step up and be able to block for Derek Carr, to be able to block for Alvin Kamara. There were times where Cesar Ruiz made the tackle on Alvin Kamara. That's how out of position this dude was. It was a game versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm pretty sure some of you probably seen it. Cesar Ruiz trying to block, but instead the guy pushed him back, and he pushed him back to Alvin, and Alvin fell, right? Alvin got up with straight up disgust and frustration because he just realized that it wasn't going to be his day. And it wasn't his day mostly because number 51 could not get the job done, right? I think he number 51. Yeah, okay. Sometimes I forget, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to read a guy's number when he's mostly on the ground most of the time. But that's the way I feel about Cesar Ruiz, man. For real. That's the way I feel about it. I'm sorry, folks. I know that, you know, I try to look at the bright side, but let's stop playing around, man. We can do better than this. We can do better than this, and you know it, right? I like Cesar as a person. Like if you ever like seen interviews and stuff like that, cool dude, but you can do better than that. Unless he about to channel his inner Quentin Nelson or something like that, or his inner Lane Johnson, or some of these other cats out here. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do that, then I'm all for it. But he's no Lane Johnson, right? I mean, he isn't even OG Bobby Johnson, right? Well, let's go ahead and move on. It says, I hope we grade Ruiz for let me see, we trade. I guess you were saying trade Ruiz for Tevin Jenkins from Chicago. I had him graded really high, former 35th pick overall 2 years ago, battle injury, but still young enough to bounce back. Look, I'm not trying to trade nobody for somebody that's going to get hurt, right? That's the problem that we have right now, Scott Without Clout. I'm pretty sure that this guy has a very promising career, and I hope that he finds the true value of his career somewhere else, right? This is the issue that we've been having. Guys not being able to stay healthy throughout the totality of the season. And I'm not trying to squint anymore. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to squint or trying to put a square peg into a round hole anymore. It's rather you got it or you don't. The biggest issue that the Saints have had over the last couple of years, it hasn't been that they're not talented. It hasn't been that they're not playoff worthy. It has been that the players that we need as a fan base, they need as an organization, have not been available. So I'm not trying to bring in some guy that I got to hope and pray and wish and, you know, upon a star that he plays, right? I'm pretty sure this brother has a lot of talent, the guy from Chicago. I've seen, you know, I heard about him, but we need somebody that's going to be available. I mean, Cesar Ruiz, for the most part, probably the best thing about him, the majority of his career, he's been healthy. Last year, he played 14 games. You know, he's played almost in every game. So he's been there. He's been available. He has been Iron Man on that offensive line for the New Orleans Saints. That's one thing you can say that's positive about Ruiz. But I don't want to see any more guys that have a history or have had history of being hurt because you'll find yourself in the same position trying to find offensive linemen off the street or a guy that's not qualified or not good enough to be able to plug and play and be in that place, and we get our quarterback killed. So there you go. I'm going to stroll down a little bit. I apologize, folks. My voice is a little bit shot a little bit, you know, been dealing with that. But, hey, man, I'm here. Let's see. Pete just slow and fat. I think that Cesar Ruiz. I think that Andres Pete has good qualities. I think he's one of the best run blockers when it comes to offensive linemen. But the problem is that's not the only thing they ask you to do. Now, if he was playing in 1962 somewhere, you know, Andres Pete would be one of the best offensive linemen in football. But problem is, you know, in the NFL, they throw the ball quite a bit. So if you can't block, then guess what? You know, you're going to find yourself without a job or being a rotation guy. We're going to play the Patriots in Germany. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool if that's the case. LOL, I hear that. My dad says the same thing. He just wants healthy dudes. That's it, man. I think if the Saints can stay healthy, they can win the battle of attrition. They can. They can make a playoff run. They can make a playoff run. You know, like, so That's my biggest issue. I like the fact that what I read yesterday when I was going over the rest of the draft, and shouts out to everybody that checked out that episode. If you have not, please go back and check it out. One thing that I loved about it was all those guys played at least 95% of their games, right? Now, I don't count the ones when they freshmen and they trying to, come in and trying to prove themselves. I'm talking about junior, senior year. And in some cases, some of those guys started every game as sophomores. That's what I like to see. That's what I love to see when I'm watching a team, right? Guys that are available, that I know are going to be available, not guys who are projects. And boy, he would have led the nation in sacks if he didn't tear his ACL. And oh boy, if he didn't have that separated shoulder, he would have been All-American. Oh boy, and if he didn't have that neck injury, then he probably would have been the greatest quarterback in college football history. Look, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that, man. Stop trying to put a square peg into a round hole and go with the guys that are going to be available, the guys that have a high motor. Y'all know the motto here in 2023, no cold motors up in this thing. No cold motors in 2023, right? What they say, no black and gold if your motor runs cold. Straight up, man. We want guys that are going to be available, and we want some guys that's not going to quit on the play. If you got that, then you got yourself a playoff team. I don't know about a championship team, but you can't make it to the championship if you don't make the playoffs. So once again, no more cold motors in 2023 and no more projects, please. No more projects, please. It's so hard to find good old linemen, too. That's why this draft we saw so many offensive tackles go high, more than usual. Everyone's seen what Eagles did and copycatting. Yeah, pretty much. Yep, they're doing what the Eagles are doing. The Eagles have found success with that, and of course, you want some of that. That's just the way that it goes. It was a couple of years ago. Teams saw that young coaches were the new wave, right? Because of Sean McVay's success, right? Back in 2018, unjustifiably, by the way, but they end up going to the Super Bowl, right? And playing the Patriots, even though they lost. This guy was like in his early 30s, and teams were like, man, well, maybe we need to stop going after these old farts and get these 30, 31-year-old guys, these hotshot guys, these pretty boys, if you will, these offensive innovators. Maybe we need to do that. And then all of a sudden you start to see guys like, Cliff Kingsbury, not a really good example, but you start seeing Matt LaFleur. You start seeing like younger guys out there, Kevin O'Connell. You start seeing guys getting opportunities that were young, and normally when you used to hire coaches, guys were like in their late 40s, early 50s. These guys like in their early 30s. So it is a copycat league, it is a copycat league. So what the Eagles have done, they have found success. And of course, people want some of that. People want to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the overall goal. That should be your objective as an organization, to make it to the Super Bowl. Both of Mrs. Benson's teams simply need healthy and available players. Auction of looking suspect. You ain't lying, man. You got guys with like a lot of potential, have the potential to be league MVP, offensive player of the year, and they can't stay healthy. They got the opportunity. They got the team to make the playoff, but can't because they just can't get it together. It's sad to watch. If Trevor Penny dominates this year and increase our team ceiling so much, he measured off the charts, but hopefully improve his leverage and ability and block speed rushers off the edge. Yeah, I hope that he did. But I think a lot of what stunt Trevor Penny's growth was, it's just the fact that he got hurt. And that's what I feel, because every game he got better. Like the first game that he played in, he ranked really high when it came to run blocking, right? I mean, he graded off the charts. He graded so well that his run blocking made up for his pass blocking, and he graded well because of that. That's how good he did as a run blocker. Then the next week he played, and he did better in pass protection. So I'm just saying, like a full off season, him playing and him learning and developing and turning into that offensive lineman that we need. Who knows, man? He might be a really, really good offensive lineman. If you can easily replace them, then they're replaceable. Yep. If I gotta think about if I need to keep you or not, more than likely I don't have to. Right. The only ones that it's kind of tough is it to me is only two ways you should be looking at a guy. If he's good enough, right? If he's good enough to play, the only reason why you should be second guessing is if it comes to contractual issues. That's the only reason. Like if a guy is great and you got the money to pay him, it should be a no-brainer. But a lot of these guys, you sitting up here trying to make them work, and that's what you don't need. Now, sometimes like you kind of handicapped or whatever like that, or restraint, if you will, because you have to keep these guys. But for the most part, you don't have to. Like, you gotta get better on the offensive line. You got to get more athletic on the offensive line. So hopefully they can do that. He shouldn't have been number 51 anyways, making Velma look bad. Saints should never draft Ruiz. Should have drafted Queen. Heck, they should have drafted Jordan Love, to be honest with you. I know we don't like that decision. Maybe some people aren't fans of Jordan Love, but they should have drafted him. Based on the dude's talent and skill set, they should have drafted him, but they didn't. To me, the Ruiz pick was a reach. Ndakwe would be a nice pick. Yeah, I think Ndakwe would be a good part of the rotation. Let's see. And a heartbeat says Dana says Cesar Ruiz option not being picked up isn't surprising when you realize he would have been making more than Zach Martin. Yeah, $14.175 million. No, sir. Which isn't in any ways justifiable. Nope. TJ, what are your thoughts on our undrafted linebacker from Vandy? Seems to check all DA's boxes, including smarts. I said that dude's name yesterday, but somebody give me his name. I don't know it right offhand, but I think that it's going to be tough for him to actually make the team based on what the Saints already have, based on the fact of how they play defense, based on how many linebackers they have per game time. It's going to be tough. I can see him ending up on the practice squad, maybe. Let me see. Anthony Orji. Yeah, that's his name. Anthony Orji. I think that he's a guy that can make the team, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, he goes out there and he balls out, then he probably make the team. But there's a lot of guys that's waiting in the wings for the opportunities. One guy in particular is a guy that the Saints drafted last year, DeMarco Jackson. If he can build off what he was doing in off-season workouts, it's going to be tough for him. Should we go at the Patrick Queen? Look, the Saints had an opportunity to get him before, and they didn't. I think that, the Saints had, like I said, they had an opportunity to get him. They didn't, I mean, you choose Zach Barn over this dude. Like, come on, man, give me a freaking break. Here's the thing, man. I think that when it comes to Patrick Queen, it's a matter of at the time when he is a free agent, it's about where he wants to go. And I seen an interview where he talked about the New Orleans Saints and he knew he wasn't going to go to the Saints because the Saints never draft LSU players. They just don't. And for him to bring that up, I just think that it speaks volumes. And it can almost be like, well, if they didn't want me, I don't want them. And it's crazy that LSU produces all that talent and the Saints just never pick those guys up. And people will say, well, it's because they from Baton Rouge. Some of those guys, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to think about this. If you're a really good college program, these guys come from all over. Like you look at Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson went to LSU, but he's from Florida, right? You got guys who come from all across the country. So, sometimes, it can play a role. Like somebody like Tyrann Mathieu, beginning of his career, like he didn't need to be nowhere near New Orleans, right? Guys who can be easily influenced, you do your homework, then you don't draft them. But some of these guys, man, you know, they're made of the right stuff, and you passing up on these guys because of location, that's not always a good thing. Sometimes you got to pick your spots. I can understand why you don't want to do it from time to time, but if a guy is talented and he can make your team better, I don't care where he's from. And it's crazy because if you look at some of these other teams out here like Seattle, San Francisco, all these other teams, you know, it's crazy because they don't care. Like, shoot, they'll draft a guy from USC. They'll draft a guy, you know, from University of Washington. They don't care. They don't care at all. So, you know, the fact that the Saints have all of that talent right in their backyard and they don't pick from it, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's like having the most beautiful rose bushes that you ever seen and not pick one to give to your lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just don't make any sense whatsoever. Let's see. Guard Cesar Ruiz agreed to a 3-year, $37 million extension with the Saints. The Saints did not agree. They did not agree, and they probably won't. Former safety, super athletic, flies around type. All depends if he improves in pass coverage. Yeah, I mean, look, he's made of the right stuff. Look, you can't be no dummy going to Vanderbilt. You can't, right? So we already know the brother's smart as I don't know what. But, I mean, once again, it's going to be tough for him to make the team because of all the talent they have already and the way that the Saints play defense, the way they play defense. It's going to be tough for him. Yeah, but Nick Anderson got the call from DA specifically. I think he might actually have a shot. Yeah, I mean, I think he have a shot to make the team. Will he be a starter? I don't think so. I don't think so. But, I mean, just because you're not a starter at the beginning of the season doesn't mean that there's not a strong possibility that you won't play, especially if guys end up getting hurt and you come in and they have to find somebody, you know, to play right away, right? So there's a chance that he can make the team if he goes out there, plays well, just like Anthony Orji, same way. Your thoughts on linebacker Nick Anderson? He was interviewed Wednesday night with Dolph 17 and Coach Rock on Keeping It Real, Who That Sports Podcast. Well, that's great, man. Shouts out to those brothers, you know, getting Nick Anderson on the show. Look, I think that Nick Anderson, you know, we all know his leadership qualities. I think we're all rooting for him, the fact that he came from Tulane. But, you know, I mean, like, it's all about what he does with this opportunity that he gets. Just because Dennis Allen calls you, you know, doesn't mean that just, you know, seals the deal like you just going to make the team. You know, I mean, there were times where I could just think about, who was that guy named? Akeem Nicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can think about him calling Sean Payton and Sean Payton telling him to come on, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't make the team. So just because you get a phone call or, you know, somebody reaches out to you doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be a spot. They probably give you opportunity. And you shouldn't want it to be that way. It shouldn't be, you know, on no phone call basis. Like, you know, they called me. Like Martin said that time when he was going to that job interview, they called me. Okay, that don't mean anything. They can call you all day, but it's about what you do with that opportunity. You know, they're giving you the opportunity. They're not giving you a job. They didn't pick up Ruiz's fifth-year option, but Ruiz seemed to be coming around. Last year's production from Ruiz is worth a new contract. You've been paying Pete for much less than what Ruiz gave you last year. I absolutely 100% disagree with that. See, that's the problem where I'm saying at the beginning of the show. We need consistency. Just because a guy shows you 1 year of production doesn't mean that you're supposed to pay him. I mean, you can say that he's turning a corner, but in what way? Like, honestly, what has he turned the corner? Like, here's the thing. If I'm teaching my son, Paxton to throw the football, right? I mean, let's just say I'm teaching how to catch a football. And the first day I go out there, I throw him 10 passes and he catches none, right? But then the next day we go out there, I throw him 10 passes and he catches 2, right? Okay, then I go out there 3 days and he catches 2 again. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be like, man, he improving, right? He wasn't catching nothing the first day. All I'm saying is the dude started off bad, right? So you started off terrible, right? So any extra oomph that you give it's going to be an improvement because for the most part, we just seen you getting beat, slapped around, and embarrassed. So how good are you really? Like, where are we putting him? Like, are we putting him among some of the top guards in the league? No. Are we putting him among the good guards in the league? No. He's like average, middle of the pack. Sometimes like he'll play above average. I'm good on that. All I'm saying is we need consistency. It's not like, oh man, he just turned the corner. Like if he comes out and he plays much better again this year, then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because, it's a wash. 2 years you play like slow. Your third year you play pretty good. So if your fourth year you play better or on brand, the same, as year 3, then I gotta say that you are who you are. But I'm not paying no dude no money for 1 year production out of what, 4 years? Nah, I'm good on that. You got to show me something. See, that's the reason why we always find ourselves as Saints fans mad at the team because they sign these guys to these deals and these guys aren't living up to it. I'm not trying to sign nobody for 1 year production. 1 year production and average production at that. It wasn't like it wasn't like Cesar Ruiz was like one of the top guards in the league last year or something like that. The dude was average, and if you want big bucks, you got to play above average. Period. I'm not for 1 year production. Not for 1 year production. I'm not doing it. I hope we take one more player from y'all. Ruiz would be a good pickup. Well, you can have him. Okay, you can have him, and then we'll put Brian Breesy right there, and he'll get mowed over there. The face belongs on the tissue. This face belongs on the tissue. Let's see. I don't agree with Ruiz's comments either. He's ranked 30th of 32 among guards. Enough said. It's better than ranking 50 out of 82 like before, but still not a great start caliber player yet. Got to improve. Yeah, you don't pay nobody that's ranked like that. That's not, nah. No, sir. I think Nick Anderson would definitely make the team, if for nothing else but special teams to start. He can definitely take Zach Barnes' spot. Well, that's not hard to do. I forgot Zach Barnes is on the team. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, doesn't make a sound. If Zach Barnes is on the Saints team and nobody notices, is he really there? Zach Barnes is, I'm just shocked. Like, seriously, like when people when they start talking about the linebacker room, I start naming people like Zach Barnes, like, oh yeah, Zach Barnes is there. That ain't no damn puppy, Chilla Gonzalez. Now we reach that part where we just blurting out Martin scripts. It says Ruiz got a ranked top 20 at guard this year to get an extension. I agree. Now you got to be ranked pretty high. TJ, I hope all is good with your health. Life is precious, and you share yours with us. I think Deion Jones, good fit for us. Hoping DA talks to him, doesn't miss out. What other free agent linebackers fit us? I had to look at the list, but I think I'm good on Deion Jones, man. I think it's time to transition to a younger linebacker corps. Give these young guys opportunity to develop, and I think they got some good mentorship there with the Mario Davis. I don't look. I'm not. Nah, I get it, man. Guys, like Deion Jones had a good run, played pretty well, but I think I'm ready to see some of these young whippersnappers step up, and prove themselves on the field, giving them boys opportunity. You got Pete Warner out there going into year 3. Still got the Mario Davis out there being a factor. We still haven't seen what DeMarco Jackson can do. Andrew Dowell seems like he's pretty much taking over that Craig Robertson special teams role. I want to see some of these young guys step up. And we just talked about Nick Anderson, Anthony Orji, and so many other guys. Also, you got some guys that play safety that might play and service that linebacker role. Guys like Jonathan Abram, not really good in coverage, but can be like that. That safety / linebacker. That I'm looking at some of these younger guys. I just think that the Saints need to get a little bit younger and get some guys that can fly around the field. They ain't got to be household names or names that we recognize. I don't really necessarily need that. But as long as these guys are where we want them to be, they're smart, physical players, and their motor doesn't run cold, I'm good. One thing I can say about the players DA has drafted is that those players are guys that seem to be ready, unlike guys like Cesar Ruiz that are just happy to be on the team. Well, I think that Cesar Ruiz was happy to be on the team, but I also think that Cesar Ruiz probably thought that, he'll make an immediate impact in the league. If you don't feel that way, then I definitely don't want you on the team, and you shouldn't be playing football. But I just think that, it was a little bit more complex, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Throughout his career, I'm talking about collegiate, high school, most of the time he played center. And going from center to guard is a little bit of a transition. But, you have to be prepared. As a member of the offensive line, you got to be prepared to, be able to make that transition. And, it's been tough on him. And honestly, as a fan, it's been tough to watch. It's almost like, on those cartoons, they used to have that big old cloud of dust, and then you have somebody looking at the cloud of dust and they got their head turned like this, because they don't want to see it. That's kind of like how it is when I'm seeing this dude trying to block somebody, Ruiz closes his eyes when he blocks. Hey, that just pretty much summed up what I just said. Trevon, thank you very much for the 999. Says, did you see the dude at off the bench are mad about the Foskey picks because Keon White was still on the board and said Foskey is more of a project. They don't do their project. Keon White played edge for 1 year. Well, thank you very much for the 999. No, I didn't see off the bench, but shouts out to T-Bob, Jacob Hester, man. They, some good guys, really entertaining. But I didn't watch it. I haven't been watching many Saints podcasts for the last couple of days. Like I said, man, just been dealing with this stuff with my health, and I haven't really been looking at any of that stuff. So, but yeah, look, I think that Isaiah Foskey is going to be that guy. Like as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be that true successor. He is a guy that fits a certain mold that I feel like the Saints needed to draft. Him and Carl Granderson, I feel like, that they can probably pick up that slack because, I don't believe in Peyton Turner. I'm sorry. I haven't seen nothing. I don't think you seen anything. Marcus Davenport, he's no longer even with the team. So I just think that the Saints drafting this guy, I think that he's going to make some noise. And I think he's going to have some people eating crow if they feel like this dude just about to come in and not do nothing. I think that he is a guy that you're probably going to be seeing in the next couple of years, being that guy that we expected Turner to be. We expected Davenport to be. So I don't know. I know sometimes like we want them to draft other guys and, sometimes we just like, oh, well, like they didn't get him. So they got this guy right here. What are you going to do? I think he's going to do a lot. TJ has diabetes. He is having some complications with that. Yeah. I've had diabetic neuropathy. My first stint with that. It's kind of like temporary paralysis of your ligaments. You know what I'm saying? Like, your toes and your legs and stuff like that, man. It's kind of hard for you to, move your feet. Like it was pretty tough, man. So I wasn't really thinking about football for the last couple of days, to be honest with you. I just worried about if I was gonna pat my feet. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I'm feeling much better now. I'm excited, to be, feeling much better than, I'm improving every single day. So that's a plus. Trade P move Pennington to the inside and let the rook play offensive tackle. And that wouldn't be too much of a bad idea, but I don't know. With Andrews Pete, it just seemed like to me like the Saints want to keep him around for at least one more year. The Giant Rat in the Caribbean really is the funniest Martin episode. Yeah, it is. I think the CD player episode of Martin probably the funniest though. When he was trying to accuse his friends of stealing the CD player, that's probably was the funny one. I love the episode of Martin. Please speak into the hoochie. It's like DA not looking for quality linebackers behind Mario and Pete, but there is a serious drop off after both Pete tends to be hurt. Barn is trash. Now his baby don't need big names, but need quality. But who's to say that they're not quality? We thought there was a huge drop off between P. Warner and Caden Ellis, and Caden Ellis came in, stepped up, and made an impact. I just think that it's kind of hard to tell, James. It's kind of hard to tell when you have not seen enough of a sample size from guys, right? Like I said, they got a lot of young linebackers on this team who have yet to just see consistently. And because we haven't seen them consistently, or, they don't come with much cachet, we look at it as we're in trouble. I can remember a couple of years ago, we thought the linebacker room was going to be pretty bad, and it ended up being pretty doggone good. So I'm willing to reserve my judgment on them and to see what we're actually at as an organization, you know what I'm saying, and go from there. But I agree with you. You should always be on the lookout to get better, but I can't say that they need to get better because I haven't seen what they actually have. And maybe the fact that they have been kind of hesitant about pulling the trigger on a guy that has a much bigger name, it probably speaks volumes of the progress that they're seeing from these linebackers. Keon White couldn't play tight end at Old Dominion, and you expect me to believe he's a better player in literally 1 year at edge. How do people ignore what they can clearly see? I don't know. I guess like I said, they go by that year of production. They look at that 1 year and they feel like, oh man, I got to have me some of that. But I need to see it consistently. TJ, may the Ford be with you as in Ric Flair 4 Horsemen. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Should we sign in Dockway? May need another vet to shore up the end position. Well, I think you always should be looking. You can never have enough pass rushes, especially when you got guys that always are going down on the line. You think this is our year? I mean, Dennis Allen is longer, younger. Y'all notice that his hair looking good. He seemed like he's going to have some stance this time. Y'all think he's going to go on 4th down? Well, that is a plus. Hopefully he plays or coaches with a level of confidence that we see other guys coach with, like a Sirianni or, like a Dan Campbell or something like that. But look, Dennis Allen is who he is. I don't think a Tiger changes his stripes. And no matter, what type of hair he put in or what type of pomegranate or whatever they call that stuff that people put in their head, whatever you want to put in, some Beijing, darken your hair up, some cocoa bean, doesn't matter. You are who you are. And he's a guy that is historically conservative. He's a conservative guy. And I do think that sometimes players look at that stuff. They look at the level of trust that you have for them to be able to execute. But I will say this, in some cases, the Saints didn't do themselves any favors when he did go for it on 4th down. Like they still did not do what they needed to do, right? So I can't too much blame him for that, but at the same time, sometimes you got to send a message. I don't know if he's going to be different or not. I just know that he's been conservative, and I think, in my honest opinion, he's going to stay that way. People don't realize DeMarco Jackson in the 5th was actually a good player. Nephi Sewell is Penei Sewell's brother. Orgy and Anderson produced. Well, look, I think DeMarco Jackson is a good pick. I think that he's a above average linebacker when it comes to coverage. And I just think that people aren't really talking about him because they ain't really get a chance to see him because, he got hurt. Foskey has like 25 sacks in college. He can definitely rush the passer. And he has 6 forced fumbles, which is insane. That's insane. Like, for a guy to do that. Like, this is like to me, watching this dude play, this dude can be DeMarcus Ware. Like, he reminds me of DeMarcus Ware if you watch him. Like, he's always trying to find a way to, get the ball out the quarterback's hands. And if you been around long enough, DeMarcus Ware. Like, DeMarcus Ware, he'll turn the corner, and even if, the offensive lineman blocks him, he'll reach his hand out and knock the ball down. And that counts as a sack. A lot of what DeMarcus Ware sacks came from was the fact that he was forcing those fumbles. So, but Foskey reminds me a lot of DeMarcus Ware. Like, his technique, his style, his size. He reminds me of D. Ware. Like, go back and check him out. And if you have not watched DeMarcus Ware, I know he played for the Cowboys. That's some torture right there, the majority of his career, but he's a pretty good edge guy. I think we pretty much know. I remember that game. It was a week before he had to play the Saints. He ended up leaving on a stretcher and came out there and just, it just dominated the game. That was the game where the Saints were like 13-0 going into the game on a Saturday, and the Cowboys beat them. TJ, how many wins we got to get early in the season for DA bad B-walk clip to be allowed again in the SOS broadcast? Well, look, all I'm saying is when it comes to Dennis Allen, I just need him to win, all right? For every win, we'll play that, all right? For every win Dennis Allen has, we'll make sure that we pull out this. Every win he get, we'll play that. All right, that'll be Dennis Allen's victory celebration. Every win that he get, we gonna play that. This past season, we were banking on our defense to be the determining factor in the team's success. With the addition of draft picks, free agents, we're more offensive or a defensive team. Nah, I think we more of a defensive team. Like, I ain't seen this offense. I mean, we not the Falcons here. Like, the Falcon fans are the only fans I know that they get all excited and talking about they're gonna win the Super Bowl based on paper. As Saints fans, look, we have a wait and see approach over here. I don't know how good this offense is gonna look. Can't nobody tell you what they got like a Falcon fan. Man, we got this. Man, we just drafted this dude. Man, we got this over here. Man, what y'all gonna do with our defense? Man, we just signed Jesse Bates. Boy, what y'all gonna do with our wide receivers? Man, we got Bijan Robinson, bro. Man, what y'all gonna do in the running game? Then all of a sudden, here they go, win 6 games. Can't nobody get gassed up like a Falcon fan. For real. Like, you talk about not a wait and see approach at all. For real. Falcon fans, as soon as they get something good, what y'all gonna do about that? They can be 5 games below 500. Man, we just got such and such. Man, what y'all gonna do with that? Like, the same thing we've been doing, slapping y'all around. I don't think Falcon fans really fully understand. Like, before Sean Payton and Drew Brees got to the Saints organization, there was a very lopsided lead between the Saints and the Falcons. And then all of a sudden, like, the Saints in like 15 years, it just caught up with them. Like, I don't think they fully understand that. And now they ain't even got a leg to stand on, because now the Saints actually got that record over them now. So they ain't got nothing to hold over a Saints fan head. All they got is, man, we got Bijan, bro. Man, what y'all gonna do with that? Man, we got Ritter. He coming back. He gonna improve. Man, what y'all gonna do with Drake London? Man, we got lockdown AJ Terrell out here. What Michael Thomas gonna do? Man, please. I say wait and see. All right. We got to wait and see approach. They do not believe in wait and see in Atlanta. I don't know what it is. Them boys get excited. It's they like kid on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Kid can't even go to sleep because he's so excited about opening them presents up. And then he found out he got a pair of socks. Let's not do this. We did it last year after the draft, and we see what happened. I'm not falling for that on paper crap. I got to see it play out. Yeah, exactly. I ain't excited. I got a wait and see approach. That's the way I'm rolling. I ain't falling for it. I ain't taking the cheese. All right. Y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. Y'all can get excited. I need to see it. I need to see it in action. Speaking of the Falcon fans, where are those Super Bowls? Yeah, I don't know where it's at. I don't know where the Super Bowl is at. I mean, unless you're talking about, the Super Bowl in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they got some Super Bowls there, but when it comes to organization, nah. Let's see. ATL really drafted a running back top 10. That's okay. They'll have another lottery pick next year. look, I don't know if they're going to have another lottery pick or not. And it was a good move by getting Bijan Robinson. I'm not hating on that at all. But I'm just saying, like, they don't wait to get excited is what I'm saying. Like, they just, any good thing that happened, like, they just come into, like, groups or they come on Saints pages talking about what they got. Like, and it don't even – what they got hasn't played a down in the National Football League. I just don't understand it. I can't get that excited over nothing that I haven't seen, like, on my team. Like, I just don't do that. The Falcons slogan now makes sense. Hope, rise up, still rising up on that hope dope. Falcon fans talking noise, knowing that they don't go to that Mercedes-Benz Stadium unless they winning. See, underwear. Let's see, rise up means fall down every year. Don't get more wrong. I like Bijan, but Falcon fans really passed on Jalen Carter, Cansey, and Anthony Richardson for him. Well, I'm telling you, dude gonna be real good. So strap in, Who Dat Nation. But I just rather just wait and see what's gonna go down. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you hit that like button if you enjoyed the show. We got previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also, check out the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast. We're going to do a show. I'm probably going to record one today, and I'll probably have that for you this evening. So make sure that you keep it locked. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast. You can also check me out on Twitter at TJAYJones8. And the Gumbo Pod, you can do it at Gumbo Sports Talk. Till next time, all I got to say is... Who dat?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.